I'm a mom, a wife. I am a friend. I am a daughter. I don't know. Whatever role God puts me in, that's what I am.
And a musician.
Oh yeah, I dabble. Dabble.
All right, so
I'm a laugher.
yeah, you definitely are
And
a
a
laugher.
jokester, comedian.
Yeah.
And a jokester. Foot and
So
mouther. Yeah.
how did the journey start for you? Like growing up, was it in the Bronx that you was born and raised, or somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the
What was
Bronx.
that
No, I
like?
was
How was
raised in
that
the
like?
Bronx.
Yeah,
I was
growing.
Yeah, I was born in Manhattan in Metropolitan Hospital. I don't know why my mother chose that hospital, but we lived in the Bronx. I lived pretty much all my life by 163rd and Sheridan Avenue, right by Yankee Stadium. It was such a great place to grow up, and that's where I met my lifelong friends and family. So I grew up in a single parent household. My parents divorced when I was like 2,
Mm.
and I was typical Puerto Rican, living in the Bronx type of household. My dad was around, but not really, and unfortunately, he passed away when I was really young, and I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
for me growing up in the Bronx. It was a different culture. You grew up a certain way. You grew a certain character and a
Mm.
certain toughness that I don't have anymore. Um,
But it seems
but
like you always had a great personality, because it seems like that personality and like the laughing side of you was like, was that early on? Like, were you connected to other funny people, maybe comedians that you saw? Like, what sparked that personality?
um, I was always very silly. Matter of fact, when I was younger, I was silly to the point of annoying. Like I was that kid that I always had to make something funny, and it was annoying. Even if I look back at myself when I was a kid, I'd be like, damn, I was annoying, because it was just I always made a joke, and sometimes now I have to check myself and be like, Ivy, that's funny in your head, but not. Don't vocalize that because that's
Yeah.
inappropriate or just weird.
Mm.
But yeah, I didn't have anybody in my life that was funny. I think um, growing up, I was a very shy and quiet kid. And I guess the party was in my head,
Yeah.
like they say, esa tiene la musiquita por dentro. Type of. So I grew up very shy, like extremely shy. And I think I broke out of my shell in high school. In high school, I I think I was like, all right, if I don't get out of this, I'm not gonna make any friends. I've always had friends, but I think you walk into high school, you think you're gonna it's like a whole different world, and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, I gotta be somebody else. I was always myself, but I felt like I needed to put myself out there to make friends and to just be noticed the way I wanted to be noticed. Because I always felt like since I was so shy, no one ever noticed me. And it was true. No one ever noticed me. And I was always kind of left out of everything. So yeah, I kind of broke out of my shell around high school. And ever since then, I can't shut this thing up.
Yeah.
How did
Um,
you break out of your shell? What did you get involved in the arts or?
no, I got involved in the art of cutting class. Um,
I love that. That
That's
was a
great.
good. That's
that was a
A
great
lot of people
class.
do
It
that.
helped me. I don't really know. To be honest with you, I don't know how. I think it was like an in between.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I had my little group of friends that I'm still friends with till this day, and I think it just happened. There wasn't one particular moment where I could just be like, oh, it was that day. I think it just happened. It was just kind of a gradual change in me that I just decided to little by little take those steps to just be like, you know what, it's okay to talk to people and to say hi. And some people in the hallways would be like, dang, Ivy's conceited, she don't say hi. But I was just trying to like be by myself. And I grew up an only child, so I was used to being alone, and I was okay with it. I was like, I don't want to talk to you, I'm good. But yeah, it was little by little. And then it's funny, I reverted back to that shyness when I went to college. I think it was kind of like, angst, teen angst. I was like a little depressed and, very anxiety. I've always suffered from anxiety and actually maybe a little bit of depression, since I was a kid. But I kind of reverted back to that in college. And then once I got out, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. Even if I'm feeling crappy on the inside, I don't want to overburden people with that. So I'm just going to give them a good face. And it helps me feel better in the process. It's not being fake. It's just faking it till you make it. That's my motto. Fake it till you make it.
What helped you during those times when you were depressed or anxious?
Writing. Writing, reading, writing, music. Those were my outlets, especially writing. I wrote so much.
Was it like poetry, stories, or just free writing?
Everything. Poetry, stories, journals. I still have my journals from when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
It was a Minnie Mouse journal that I got from Florida. And that was my first journal when I was about 12, like my serious, Dear Diary. Okay, my mom doesn't understand me, like that type of stuff. And but I loved writing. I've been writing poetry since I was 8 years old. I think a teacher asked us to do a project, and I was like, wow, I like this. And any little thing that I could, write about, I did. And I don't know if many artists would say this, but I think when you're like in that crappy moment of your life, your best writing comes out. It's raw, it's vulnerable. And I think when I was in those, moments, in those feelings, I did write really, really good stuff that I look at it now and I'm like, damn, that was good. I was sad.
But it's good.
It was good stuff. Yeah, you can tell there was a lot in it. It was heavy. Yeah. I actually started writing a blog when Liani was very little and Naya as well. And I don't write as much as I used to. I would like to, but I love writing. And I think writing was what took me out of a lot of, little everyday moments, little battles, not the war, but battles. I used to write letters to people too. Oh, wow. And, it was just writing and reading. I used to read a lot. Reading took me everywhere. If I wanted to escape, I just picked up a book and I read, and it really was about anything. Fiction, nonfiction. I just love to read and music, listening, singing, playing instruments. Like
you sang as well. So see, look at
you. Well, yeah,
you are a woman with many hats.
Oh, that's what they tell me, but I wear none. I just like to. I'm somebody who's willing to try most things.
So how did the singing come to you? Like, and how was that different than writing? Because, writing helped you to let go and give you a voice in a sense. Reading helped you to escape and make you see things and put yourself in different scenarios and places. Music can also take you there, but what did that help you with?
Singing was it was a way to, like when you read, it's internal. When you write, if you don't share with anybody, it's internal. Singing was the voice that gave all of those feelings. So even if they weren't my lyrics, um, it was emotionally enough, like filled enough for me to just belt it out in a way that you heard it. You heard,
Mm.
you know, you give it a voice. You give it a voice, whatever it
Mm.
is you're feeling. I admire artists who write their own work. You could tell what's been fabricated by somebody in the
Yeah.
record business and somebody,
Mhm.
an artist. You can tell, sometimes there's lines in there that you just don't understand. You're like, how does that connect to the song?
Mhm.
But it's because of that silent message that they want to put out there, and
Mhm.
they're protecting it,
Yeah.
and I think poetry is the same way. um, but singing, I have to say, singing is just the output of all
Mhm.
those emotions, and you can really put it out there, and that's why it's not something that I do for everybody, because I like to sing. I didn't say I sang great,
Mhm.
but but I there's a saying: don't throw your pearls to the swine. Those are my wounds. Those are my pearls. Those are the precious things that
But
I'm
bacon tastes
feeling
so
right
good though.
now. Huh?
But bacon tastes so good.
Bacon tastes real good. I'm not gonna lie. And your house be stinking when you make it. But yeah, it's singing was to me the way to put it out there,
Mm.
where it didn't have to reside any longer in my heart.
Mm.
I
Now,
hold on to it.
I would assume that you performed as well, because your poetry. Not I think you shared that with me. You did a couple things. Well, a couple performances of artistic something. Like you did everything.
I did
So
the snaps.
so how was that now um performing for you? What was that experience for you, just being up there and now sharing something that you wrote?
The first thing that comes to mind is embarrassing,
Hmm.
because the things that I would write about, they were really like, this is some personal stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I would mask it with words, but it was embarrassing because, like I said, you leave yourself vulnerable. And if you're not used to that, if you're not used to putting yourself out there like that and being okay with it, it's embarrassing. It was emptying. It wasn't really a good feeling for me, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
really?
No, no, and it wasn't because I didn't. People were like, "Oh, that was great," but
Hmm.
that adds to the embarrassment even more,
Mm.
Oh,
because
okay.
it just doesn't feel right to me to give that. I'm telling you, it's something very personal to me. It's something
Mm.
a lot of people don't know about me. I don't really share it because it's such a personal, precious thing. It's a treasure. It's like this hidden little treasure that I get to keep. It's a secret of mine, um, and it's not for the enjoyment of others.
Right.
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
know
You
what I
want to
mean?
keep it to
Yeah.
yourself,
I want to keep
and
it
that's
to
okay.
So
myself.
what made you share that piece though? You could have shared like other pieces.
You're right. I think part of me wanted to impress the crowd with
Uh,
something that I thought was really good.
and then you
You
left. He
know,
was like, "I hate you all. You took this from
that was
me."
my poem. I
I
was like, you
hate you
want
and
me
I
to
hate
laugh?
myself for sharing it.
Yeah, that was it.
You
Now
guys
you
just
don't
want me
laugh.
for my art and pain. How dare you?
You don't laugh. You don't laugh. That's what I was. I heard that. Who laughed?
Oh, so
Uh, uh, but but I think that's such a interesting
it
and
is.
great experience, because like I don't think I ever heard that someone like, yeah, embarrassing, yeah, but like someone performing and then they get off is like, oh my god, I hated everything about that moment. You guys
Mhm.
fucking took this moment
This
from
was
me.
mine.
This was so deep,
It's
like like
mine.
this is mine. I don't know why I did that.
Mm.
This was so personal. And
Yeah.
usually you hear like, oh, it was so freeing. It was
Yeah.
like I was letting go. Yours is like, wow, I can't believe I let you guys in to my world and share this to
Yeah.
strangers. Because like you said, you always been a shy person and always kept to yourself. So that was normal when you don't need to talk to people. here it
Right.
is now that like, okay, the one time that I'm actually going to be like talking to people that I don't know, I'm sharing this deep shit.
Right. Right. With a bunch of strangers that I'm never going to see again. I mean, in a way, that could have been, the good part of it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just emptying, and I think
Mm,
maybe it's not the right thing. I think people tend to nurture their pain and take care of it, like if it's a baby, and they like it. I think I tend to be like that sometimes. Like I could be real emo if I wanted to be,
yeah.
Mhm.
um, and it's not healthy. I'm not gonna even
Yeah.
make it cool looking. It really is not healthy, but it's mine,
Mhm.
and I think also the risk of misinterpretation and misunderstanding what I'm trying to
Mm,
say here, because people
Exactly.
can view art in so many different with so many different perspectives, and it gets lost in translation. Things get
yeah.
lost. I didn't want that. I didn't want that. I didn't want to. If I would, there have been times when I've read my poems to, my mom, or
Right.
a friend, and to have to explain a line.
Mhm.
Oh, that just tore
Oh,
me up. I was just like, yeah, you know what? If
yeah.
you couldn't get it, I mean, I get it. You couldn't get it, but you shouldn't even have to get it. Just appreciate it.
Yeah.
But if
You know
that's
what? You're not even getting your money back for this performance.
exactly. To me. It like you said. You used the perfect word. It robbed me of what was mine and what was beautiful
Mm,
to me.
right.
And I think it's selfish in a sense, but I think it's okay to hold on, to something and not have to share it with the world.
Right.
Especially
Yeah.
nowadays, everybody shares everything with the world,
Word. Word.
and that's just my little desert,
Yeah.
it's
Um,
a desert moment.
you and like you mentioned it before, you always been this type of person to always try new things, and I want to dive into that as in like what encouraged you to try these new things. And I would assume that you have these fears, but from trying new jobs, from doing different artistic things, like what what sparked you to do those things and I guess dive into the unknown, and even though you still had your fears and doubts.
Um, I think that there's a part of me that likes change. I like different. I get bored with certain things. Not everything, but there are certain settings, certain opportunities that I'm just like, okay, that's run its course. Let's move on. Um, and I like that. I like to know that I like to challenge myself. I like to put myself in situations that probably are very uncomfortable. I always tell people, America runs on Duncan, Ivy runs on Loca. I like when things are super duper crazy, and for some reason I get into that, like, okay, all right, and I bento box everything,
Mm,
and so in order for me to do that, I have to be able to try something new. I have to be able to not be afraid of going into the unknown. Um, Not to say that I don't go in without caution. I'm the person that will sit there, like, people are going out to dinner. What do you want to eat? I will sit there for a good hour having people waiting till I make a decision. But once I make that decision, it's done. Don't sway me, don't move me. I'm there. I also don't feel that I also don't feel like I need to stay stuck in a situation. I would like to see where this goes. I like the adventure in life, and a lot of things haven't worked out, but that's okay. Like, I think successes are made on the backs of mistakes, and you have to be able to put yourself out there sometimes, and I think in your mind as well, you have to be able to say, no, 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 this this is going to work. Whether it works good or bad, it's going to work, and we'll make our way out, and that's how I see things. So when I dive into something, I think in the initial moment, on the outer view of it, people will say like, "Oh wow, You just made that, but no, this, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I just haven't said a thing. I've researched it. I go into it quietly, and then when I'm done, I'm in it. I'm passionate about it, and there's not much to sway me from it. And if it doesn't work out, I will find avenues to make it work. I just feel like you can't stay stuck in one spot and experience life. I'm not a traveler. I don't have the desire. I know myself. I know my limits. I know who I am, what I'm capable of. You will not find me on a plane. I don't care to. You might see a kid come in and out, but I don't care to go to Europe. I'll see it in a picture. I'm good. Maybe one day I'll get that opportunity. I'll get that desire. But right now, that desire is not in me. I just think you could be a full-fledged um, life, experiencing person right in your own home, right in your own space, right in your own town, city. It all depends on what you think life is and what is good for you. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
It
Does.
does. Of all the things you've tried and put yourself out there in the unknown, which one is the one that has impacted you the most?
Um, working with teenagers.
Mm.
Working with teenagers, I think, impacted me the most. It put me, and it put me in a place of vulnerability in a sense that it took me back to my teenage years. There's no better example for kids than someone who's willing to just be like, yeah, I remember that. I went exactly the way, I went through that. Uh, it was the most rewarding. It was also the most painful, and probably the most surprising thing I have ever went through. I never would have expected that I would even deal with teenagers. And when I even embarked on, just to give your listeners a background, um, I was a youth minister at my church. And I don't know what happened that I decided to be a youth minister. Never really dawned on me that I could even be a youth minister. I had just come back to the Catholic Church, and so it was something that it just came up. It just came up, and I was like, "Hey, I think I want to do that." And I realized that it allowed me to recall a lot of things that I went through in my teenage years, wondering if I would have had somebody, like me, or, not me per se, but like a youth minister, some adult, young adult guidance,
Yeah.
that maybe things would have been different. But that to me has been the most impactful.
Was
Is
it healing
actually,
for you
it was
to
healing for
for
me.
your teenage wounds?
It was definitely healing for me. It was interesting to see the influence that I had over the teenagers, because I never really thought of myself as like somebody that people could look up to, and I had a good time, and it made me remember it's okay to be a child once in a while. It's okay to be silly and stupid as an adult. It was okay to do that. Um, and I had a lot of fun just being a dumb 20-year-old teenager. It was fun. It was fun, but to me, it was probably the most rewarding and the most impactful.
How did you get into like playing the guitar, and how
And
did
the
that
violin, right?
and the violin too? How
Oh
did
yeah,
that fulfill you and your on your journey? Because I remember your husband Jesse said like you knew you everyone knew you in like in the music scene, or you knew everybody in the music scene and all these bands that you will go see and stuff like that. So now I would love to know the like how did the violin play a role in your life, and then migrating to the guitar, and what did that help you with?
yeah. First of all, Jesse is a liar. Okay, he played me out to be this like amazing person,
But you are.
to disappoint. No, the violin actually happened in middle school. My one of I have these three sisters. Ricky's brother is married to the oldest one, and those girls have known me from the womb. And we consider each other sisters. They're such great women. We grew up in the same building together. We're still friends. But the middle one, Vanessa, she was taking violin in middle school, and I think I was like in third grade. And I asked her, I was like, "How do you play that?" And no, I picked it up and I just kind of, you know. And then I was like, "How do you make the notes go up and down?" And she was like, "Put your fingers on it." And I was like, "Okay." So I put my fingers on it. I kind of knew um, like the escalating of notes because I used to have an organ in my house and I used to play like "Oh Susanna," don't you? And "My Darling Clementine." I knew like all these old school songs. And I used to play around with it. Like, remember that show DuckTales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to play the songs of DuckTales. I was like, bam, 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 bam. I thought it was so dope. So I knew the notes, like I knew that structure in my ear. And so when she told me to put my fingers on the violin, that very day I learned how to play "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
Nice.
And then when it was, I think you were able to join orchestra when you were in sixth grade. I don't remember very well. I know the first year you weren't able to, but sixth grade came, and I remember telling my music teacher, Mr. Randall, I was like, "I want to play guitar," because I saw my aunts play guitar and my uncles, and he was like, "No, I think I'm gonna put you on violin." And I was like, "This dude, violin, who plays that?" You know, and even though I kind of dabbled in, I was like, "All right." It actually proved to be one of the best things I had ever done. It opened up the doors for so many other instruments for me to play. I learned so much about music, about theory,
DuckTales.
and yeah, I honestly, to this day, I can never thank Mr. Randall enough for making that judgment. You know, to putting me on the violin. And it's funny because I had in the eighth grade, I had this audition for this woman who worked in Juilliard. And she basically gave us this opportunity she had us, you know, she had us play for her, and she gave us this opportunity that if she felt we were good enough, that she would continue to tutor us and give us an open seat in Juilliard. And this idiot right here was like, "No, I want to be a scientist, Mom." And my mom was like, "Okay, you know." So,
Whatever you want.
That's funny.
But you know what? Listen, everything works out for a reason. And music is still in my life. The violin, I don't really pick it up as much anymore. I do pick it up, but not as much anymore. So that's how I got into that. And then the piano, I actually started to learn playing self-taught piano. And I'm not, you know, Liberace or anybody like
Just
that.
DuckTales.
Just DuckTales and "Oh Susanna"
and "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
Yeah, "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star,"
which
you
is
know, I throw a little
so many songs.
ABC, you know. You know, actually, in college, I used to go to Bronx Community, and they used to have a music building, and in the building they would have these little small rooms. Each of them had pianos. And I got so excited when I heard that, because I used to be a huge fan of Tori Amos. I don't know if you guys ever heard of her. Tori Amos. And, you know, she plays piano, and I thought she was just amazing. And I actually learned just by listening, to the cassettes, I would just sit there on my breaks.
What's a cassette? I'm sorry. What's
Huh?
that?
I know it was a cassette.
I
Oh,
said,
what's
what's
a
a?
cassette? Ay, bendito. No, 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 no. Google it. But I used to sit there, with the headphones, and I had this break, so I had hours to myself, and I just enjoyed just sitting there and trying to learn a song just by listening to her notes. And, so I did that for a little while. And then last year, I decided to pick up the guitar. When I just literally, this is how I am. I'm sitting in my living room, and I think I was singing a song to myself, and I was just like, man, I need to learn this on the guitar. And I got up, went to the music store. I was like, give me a guitar. I like that one. Let's go. And I brought it home that day. By the end of the night, I learned Tracy Chapman's "For You." That song "For You."
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard it?
No, but
I have
I'm
to hear, and
assuming
I'll
it's a
probably be
good
like,
song.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's from her first album. It's such an underrated song. It's so beautiful, and I love the guitar in it. Tracy Chapman is a great guitarist, and so yeah, I pick up things. I'm not gonna say like I'm great at this stuff. My chords are horrible. They sound horrible. I played today, and I was like, ooh, fuck. But otherwise,
But you have the ear.
I have the ear for it. That I do.
But you still go
And
for
you're
it.
doing it.
And I still go for it. Yo, it sounds. I'm learning a bunch of Christmas songs because let me tell you something. On Christmas Eve, we're gonna be singing Christmas songs that I'm playing on the guitar.
Nice.
It's hard.
And everyone
Yes.
must dress. This is your Carnegie Hall moment.
So
Everyone
your ugly Christmas
must
sweater
no.
on.
Everyone must wear a suit and
suit.
shoes.
I'm like ugly Christmas
Carnegie
sweater.
attire.
I'm handing out papers with the lyrics. Y'all gonna sing with me? We're gonna do this.
We are going live virtually so everyone can see it.
Send us the Zoom link. We'll be there.
We'll send you the Zoom link. Don't worry for those people that are homebound.
You got tech rehearsal the day before.
Listen, and that's for me. That's something that, again, it's not something I want to put out there, but in this instance, I'll do it. It's this is a moment where I'm like, okay, I could take myself out of my comfort zone and do a little something, and people see the faces and people are like, sounds bad, then I'll just be like, okay, we're done. Echo, play me some Christmas music.
And see.
So you're taking us down this journey. You've done so much things, and you continue to do so much. And I think another big chapter of your life that I want to dive into is being a mother of like 18 children.
Yeah.
I know,
and a newborn.
yeah, and a newborn. So I know this is a long journey, but what is motherhood to you? And when you take us down the road, like when you first was going to be a mother to your first child, down to now the latest edition, and just basically managing a household, managing other children's life, being there for them,
homeschooling.
Like,
I mean, it's
and
a lot.
also
So
like
start from the beginning.
yeah. So
one step at a time.
take us down this motherhood. How did you feel when you first became a mother, and then how did you feel becoming a mother for 6 other children?
That's how many? Okay, so I have to credit my desire for motherhood to my stepson, Zayas. Before meeting him, before encountering him, I had no interest in being a mother. I loved kids, other people's kids. I was like, oh, I will sit down and play with them on the floor, roll around, do all kinds of crazy, and then I'm going. I loved other people's kids. I just enjoyed that dynamic of like, for lack of a better word, dumbing it down and just talking to a kid and just being, a cookie, yay. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I felt like I was way too selfish to become a mom. I think you have to be self-emptying. You have to be self-sacrificial. And I was not getting on a cross for nobody. I also didn't want to get married. I didn't have good examples of marriage in my life. So for me, marriage was nope. Nah, I'm good. Thank you. And I remember the three girls that I mentioned earlier, they literally got married like one after the other. And I remember my mom sitting me down one morning and she was like, first of all, my mom doesn't talk to me. Like she talks to me, but not about deep stuff, you know?
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Ina, mom. She's like,
Exactly.
yeah, tú quieres comer? Okay, sí, vete a acostarte. You know, like it's
Yes.
not really, there's no interest.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I can
right?
totally relate.
Look at it, yeah. But to this day, like she made me coffee, and she was like,
Oh.
"Siéntate, sit down. I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "I need you to tell me something. Are you a lesbian? Because why you didn't get married?" And I
Wow,
was
she
like,
went deep.
Did you read my poetry? No, that's it. You're cut off. You're cut off. You cut off.
"Yo, I mean, I don't know where it came from,
Yeah.
but I was just like, no, I'm not." But I'm not getting married either. And I had to explain it to her, and she was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, because I see everybody getting married." And I was like, "Yo, do you get married? Get married then. I'm good." But I think when I met Jesse, I remember meeting him. I remember we would talk for hours, and I was dating somebody at the time, like he had told you guys. But we would just talk, and I was just like, wow, this, like, the conversation was so easy. And I remember I had a doctor's appointment, and I was really friendly with the nurse, and she would always talk to me about her husband. And I asked her one day, I said, how did you know your husband was the one? I was like real cheesy, like, he's the one, But I asked her, and she was like, you just know. And I was like, yeah, I think this is, to myself, like,
Yeah.
he's the one. I think this is bad. And that was really surprising for all my friends, because they were just like, you're dating a guy with a kid? You? But Faith really, he made me look at motherhood in such a different light. He was such a great kid. He deceived me, because all my kids are bad. No, he was such a great kid. He was such a behaved kid. We developed such a great relationship, and for once in my life, I began to desire wanting to be a mom. So Jesse and I, we had Liani. I was 28 when we had Liani, and it was hard. I didn't realize like how hard it was to be a mom, to have this vulnerable child just completely 125% dependent on you. And I felt like everything that I was doing was wrong. I was raising a deviant criminal. I don't know. Like I had no idea what I was doing. And but you know what? We did it. We did it. And I think that motherhood, oh my gosh, there's so many different facets. And my experience of motherhood is, different from yours, Alessandra, and from somebody else's. I'm a
So
mother.
what's yours?
Yeah, what's yours?
Mine, you know what? Mine is like, I'm gonna compare it to my mom's. So my mom was a mom. She was a single mom. That's a huge dynamic. I'm not a single mom. I have a husband at home. I was an only child. My mom, didn't have other children. I have children that have brothers and sisters. Motherhood to me, just it's like this partnership that I have with the world, of raising a bunch of little people that are gonna someday be in the world as adults and make these decisions and behave in ways that are gonna affect other people. There's ripple effects, and I have this huge job. I have the honor and to 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 raise somebody that other people in the world are going to encounter, and you know, I'm doing the best that I can. Um, and it wasn't our plan to have so many children, but we're very open to life. And to us, every child that comes our way is a blessing. You just don't know if Naya. When Naya's my second daughter, when I was having Lucas, I was pregnant with Lucas, and Naya would say, "Mom, why are you having another kid?" And I was like, "Where should I have stopped? After Liani?" And she was like, "What? Then I would have been." And I was like, "Exactly. You don't really think about that, because you're here already, and I can't picture my life without any of these kids. Will we have more? I don't know. My body is like, yo, stop. Real. This is ridiculous. But if it happens, it happens. My heart, I never thought my heart would be big enough to love more than one kid. I remember when we had our second daughter, Naya, our second child, I kept saying to myself, am I going to love her the way I love Liani? Am I going to, am I going to favor one and not the other? And yes, Naya is my favorite. I'm just kidding. But you don't realize as a parent, not just moms, but dads too, like how much love you can have for each of your children. And you do love them differently because
yeah, of course, they're all different human beings with different personalities.
And they give of themselves to you differently. What they give to me and what they give to their dad are completely different things. And what they give to each other, like, it's just amazing to watch siblings, because I didn't have siblings, so I'm just like, why are you fighting like that? Don't you love her? And they're like, yeah, I love her, but she's annoying, and that's a teaching moment for me. I'm like, wow, you could love somebody and hate them at the same time. Okay. Okay. But yeah, motherhood is just this, it really is an honor. It's to me, it's like an entitlement, like mothers are definitely people that hands down, I feel you really have to honor and respect them, mothers who are willing to mother.
Yeah.
Not every mother, I guess, envisions or chooses or even likes the role of motherhood, but that is my role. I love it. There are days when it is a huge challenge. It's my cross. They are my sanctifiers. If I don't get to heaven because of them, then I don't know what. I don't know what. Because it's difficult.
What do you do in those moments where it is tough because you are raising a lot of children and you do have help, from Jesse when he's not working, but you guys are all pulling in together to doing your best, but you're only one person that also still human and can go through those moments of feeling, maybe sadness, maybe a little depression mode, or just having a day is like, today is not a fucking good day. So like, what do you do in those moments that has helped you? Do you give yourself that time just to like be emo and then and then because you still like, it's not like you can hide for too long because you still have other kids to like take care of, like, oh, I gotta feed this one, and now having a newborn is like starting from scratch again.
Yeah. I scream at the top of my lungs. I threaten lives. No, I do that sometimes. No, for the most part, I'm pretty calm. And I do have a lot of patience, which I'm thankful for, because you need it. And the first person I have patience with is myself, because I have to say it's a bad day. I have to realize, well, who's having the bad day? Did I start with the bad day with myself? Did I get up on the wrong side of the bed? Or are the kids just being people, human beings, and having a bad day, and they just, ruin mine or whatever. Um, One of the first things that I do is I close my eyes and I just pray. Give me the strength. That's my prayer right there. Just give me the strength, right? Or right now, I need you right now, right now. Sometimes I have to sit back and just be like, I'm not gonna deal with that right now, and that's okay. Um, but one of the things that I really always try to turn to is, let me love this kid right now. Um, as a Christian, I always try to see Jesus in everybody. And I wrote this blog post one time where I was complaining about the laundry and the kids bothering me, and I was folding clothes and trying to get my house together, and my daughter wanted me to sing with her. I'm a little teapot, and there was every fiber in my being was like, girl, do you not see I'm folding panties and t-shirts. I got things to do. I don't need to be no teapot, I need to clean the teapot. But at that moment I remember that day. I remember clearly where I just felt like something telling me, like, what's more important here, laundry or time spent? And that's the takeaway that I try to, look at every day. It's like, okay, how much time did I spend with this kid? What was that time like? Was I agitated? Was I cranky? Were we arguing? Where's that love? Where did I find love in that? Where did I express love? I don't want my kids on the couch. I don't want my kids on the therapist couch talking about my mom. She was just always sad.
She didn't want to sing
Yeah.
a teapot with me.
Yes,
She always wanted to fold panties.
She always wanted to fold panties. I don't know what her obsession with panties were, but I really wanted them to have a good experience with me. I think about the future. I think about, the day that I go, what is my legacy? What are my kids going to remember me for? Are they going to be saying, my mom just always worked, never had time for me? Or are they going to be like, no, every moment I spent with my mom was always good? Or, and it's not a perfect thing, but it's okay. A lot of beautiful comes from imperfection. And I actually am attracted to the imperfect. Because it gives me a chance to just be like, oh, let me get my hands dirty, and yeah, let's do this. You have glue all over your face. Awesome. Let's peel it away. Like you try, and there are days where I just can't. I'm like, who told you to no glue in that night? But you try every day. And I thank God that I wake up in the morning and I get to start over again. Yeah. And kids are so forgiving. They're so right?
1 second, no, but they're like bipolar. 1 second they're like, rah, and then the next second, mom.
Yes. And it's so funny.
They let you go like this.
Delicious. It's so. I'm telling you, it breaks my heart sometimes how much of a grudge I can hold with them, and they're just like, I love you, Mom.
Exactly.
Like, I just screamed at you. Okay. Like, it's amazing. The kids are, up to a certain point. And even then, I have a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm like, give me your electronics, time to go to bed. And I'm the world's most hated person at that moment. And you feel it, boy. Teenagers are no joke. They hurt your feelings. They really do. Can't wait for you guys to go through that. They will hurt your feelings and say things or just behave in a way that you're just like, man, everything I do for you, really? Yeah. But then the next morning, she's in my bed cuddling with me and giving me kisses, and and I look forward to that. Like. And like I said, it's not a perfect situation. I don't think it ever will be, but I love that. I love the fact that it's very imperfect. And and that I get to be a part of that growth. And you know what, it enhances my the empathetic side of me. I can dive into my children's feelings. I can dive into that moment of hurt, of pain, of anger. I can feel it for them. I think as moms you feel it more. um, but every moment is a teaching moment for me. I remember Liani coming home from school one day, and she said to me, Mom, so and so brought a coloring book home and they didn't let me color. And I was so hurt because he let everybody else color except me. And my first instinct was to be like, what's that boy's name? What's that boy's name? Because I got the classroom list and I will call his mother. But you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to teach your kids how to deal with stuff like that. And, we had to talk about it. And I apologized. I was like, I'm so sorry that he didn't, let you share his coloring book. And, that wasn't very nice of him. And,
That's a great teaching moment. I was like, hey, listen, you just encountered your first asshole in life. And there's going to be plenty of assholes that you're going to run into.
Yeah.
Filled with them. I mean, honey, I'm sorry it took you this long. So, but no, we had to talk about it, and then a few minutes later, she says to me, Mom, can I bring my coloring book to school tomorrow? So I'm like, wait a minute, are you gonna, do a tit for tat, And I was like, why? And she goes, because I'm gonna open it and show it to this kid that didn't share her coloring book. Let's call him Mike. I'm gonna open it and show Mike and let him know that he can color with me. And I'm willing to share my book with him. And I was like, bingo. That's it right there. And, that's, again, I could have just been like, well, you tell that boy, you're not going to share nothing with him. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I'm trying to do here. We're trying to raise people that are willing to deal with the a-holes out there and show them to be different. I think it's our job, as human beings, to not just put love out there, but to show how to love. Yes. And the best way to show how to love is through your behavior. Mm-hmm. You can say whatever you want, but if your behavior is, executing love and just being forgiving, my God, how much the world can change. Mm-hmm. People chose it like that.
So, Ivy, we're going to move forward to our last segment of the interview. This is called...
She knows.
She knows.
She's like our favorite number one fan.
And it's called Let's Look Inside. And we have a couple questions there. And whatever comes to mind, you just answer it.
So the first question is, what do you love about yourself?
Oh, wow. I love that I love people. Like, I like to encounter people. I like to learn about people. I'm interested in people. And I like to love people. I just like to love you. When I first meet you, I just want to love you. Like,
I felt that when I first met you.
I just want to love you. I just want to, you're friends with Ricky, bang, bang, bang. You just bang, bang.
You're genuine. I felt that.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to encounter people. I like to meet people, talk to people, get to know them, young, old, I don't care. And I just want to love them. And I want them to know, like, hey, I like you. I love you. Like, let's do this. Let's love, Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like that about myself because it brings out my true energy. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
And there's this image of Jesus that we have in our home that he's got like rays of like blue and red coming out, and it's called the Divine Mercy. And the way he explained that image to the seer was that his mercy, he wasn't able to give it to people because people didn't ask for it, and it was just burning up inside of him. And that's how I feel about people. Like when I see people and I just want to love them and I just, I want to cater to you and serve you and help you and let me do this, let me do that. When I can't do that, it really does, it's stifling. It's just like, I want to, let me love you, yo. It can be a little overbearing, but it's just who I am, and I try to be as true to myself as possible. So yeah, people.
Nice. Second question is, what do you think is the meaning of your life?
I think the meaning of my life, seriously, and I think I recognized this at a really young age, is my connection to others. I think that there's just, again, this energy that people put out. How can I connect this? How can I don't know how to explain it. I think I was meant to have relationships and to encounter all different kinds of relationships, all different kinds of people in different situations. I think I was meant to just, I don't know, have a connection. I know that sounds real simple. That doesn't really sound like it has a purpose.
No, that's fine.
But to me, it's like, I've always felt that way. Like there's something, relationships is a huge thing for me. And I don't take them lightly. I don't have a lot of friends. I have many people that I know. Jesse calls me like the mayor of Monroe because he's like, every time you go somewhere, you know somebody. And but deep, deep friends, people that I've shared things with, that that's hard for me. Yeah. And when I find that, it deepens my self-awareness a lot. Just that connection that you have with people. I think my purpose in life is to just continue to find that connection, keep it going, and establish relationships in my life that are meaningful, and even some that are not meaningful. Even a stranger in the street that I encountered for 1 second, and that's my purpose. That was where I needed to be that day, and needed to meet that day.
All right, and the last segment is we have reflection cards. We shuffled them already. We don't know what the questions are, and I'm just gonna go ahead and ask you. And the first question is: your house and everything you own catches fire. All pets and people are safe, but you can save one item. What would you choose?
My rosary. I would choose my rosary.
That's in a guitar and a violin. So you grab it all at once.
It's wrapped around my laptop and my iPad. It's like one big clump of thing. Yeah. The rosary is like this little thing in the middle. Nice. I'm not big on physical, tangible things. Yeah. Like even a rosary, but I think the idea of, I always carry one in my pockets and in my purse, and that the idea of having something that connects me. I feel like my rosary is like an extension of my hand. It's like a sword for me. It's my weapon. My prayer is my weapon. And I like to know and feel it a lot, so I always have it in my pockets. I think that it would be a no-brainer. I would probably leave the house with nothing but knowing I have a rosary in my pocket. I don't know why. I don't know. I didn't think that would be my answer, but hey, that's
well. I think it goes. I think it goes to like, well, as long as like my, besides your family being safe, the biggest thing for you, knowing that you can always rebuild because you have your faith and you have this thing that that's yours, that when you can run to it, you can, it's your energy, you pray to it, so it's your comfort zone. It's you made this thing powerful, for you. So it's definitely symbolic to like, well, as long as I got my family and then I have this at the end of the day, I can rebuild from anything.
it's a reminder of prayer, of emulating virtues of, holiness, and wanting to be a better person. And the rosary itself, like the beads itself, is not necessary. I mean, look, this is a rosary right here. It's 10 Hail Marys, but just the idea of prayer. I think that when devastation like that happens, your whole house burns down, thank God your family is out. But now what? I think most people, when they find themselves down on their knees, that's it. They do look up to, whoever they pray to or whoever they have that connection with. And that's what they do. They seek for better. So I think that at that moment, prayer to me would be huge. Finding God in this, finding the good in all of this. Because listen, stuff happens, and I think we all suffer. We all go through suffering. It's inevitable. But how do you look at it? Do you look at it with the eyes of like, this sucks, that's it, my life is over, I'm in despair? Or, hey, okay, for some reason our house burnt down. God is good, for whatever reason he wanted to teach us something here, or we need to get something out of this. This is an adventure. Let's do it. And it's sad, it's scary. Adventures are always scary. Into the unknown, you don't really know what's on the other end of things. But I always liken it to driving in the dark with headlights. You can only see but so far. You got to trust that the road is still there.
It's still there. You're not going to fall off a cliff.
Right? Exactly. You're not going to run into a cow or something.
Oh, gosh. The second question is, what types of things have you collected in the past?
What types of things? I have a box. It's an old cigar box. Tempo cigars. Tempo. Remember Tempo? Anyway. In that box, I have my father's Bible that he got when he was drafted in Vietnam. It's all tattered and torn, but it was one of the things that I owned that was my dad's. And just letters from people that I've written to and that wrote back to me.
Nice.
Candy wrappers of people.
Wow.
That, I used to call it my memory box. Rocks. Some guy that used to like me gave me a bunch of rocks, and I thought it was sweet, and I was like, I'll keep the rocks. I think all kinds of stuff. Nice. I think a hospital, emergency band. They're my memories. Nice. Of my connection with people and just that moment that we shared or moments. Yeah. And I every once in a while I look back into it and I'm like, wow, that guy was ugly. Why did I like him? I'm kidding. But yeah, that my memory box, I would say, is something I've collected. I haven't put anything in it in a very long time because it doesn't fit anymore. But I have it to this day. And I started that when I was 13 years old.